my dad was an alcoholic, and he would have his friends come over, and whether they was in the house or sitting in the yard in lawn chairs, and back then you had to have a can opener to open a beer can, and they would send me in to get beers for them, and it made me feel like I was a part of the group, and I'd open up the beer in the kitchen, of course, and then have to take a drink of it before I took it out to them, and by the end of that, their little drinking sessions, I guess what my mother tells me is that I was bouncing around like a monkey on a string, as she would put it, and she would yell at them and then put me to bed. But I remember many of those parties starting, but I don't remember any of it ending, so I suppose I'm a blackout drinker from the beginning. Then, I got about 14 and I started doing drugs. We started smoking pot and eating acid and speed and downers or whatever we could get out of our parents' medicine cabinet or somebody in the neighborhood would have. And that went on for quite a few years. And then about 17, I decided to quit school because I was just, smoking pot and drinking beer. And I wasn't gathering any information, if you know what I mean, and then I was went on an out of control situation, to where all my friends and everybody, it was just bars, and by then I was 19, and you could drink in the bars, and it was bars and selling drugs and pot and all this stuff, and that went on until my late 20s, and then I was at a biker party, and I walked in the bathroom, and there's a girl in there shooting up, and she asked me if I wanted some. Well, I'm drunk, I don't know, and that started my cocaine habit, which lasted about 3 years. Me and her hung out, well, actually we lived together for about a year and a half, and a couple years after we had broken up and split up or whatever, I got her obituary. She's dead. She died. Then I got into meth. More fun. That is pure evil. I prided myself over the years through all my alcoholism, all my cocaine habits, and all my other drugs, that I never stolen from my mother. And meth changed that. I caught myself stealing money from my mother. About 5 years ago, my body decided to let me know that it was unhappy about what I was doing to it. And I started having grand mal, and I'm not an epileptic, grand mal seizures. And I had 9 of them in 48 hours. I got a scar right here on my head where I had one on the staircase. And I'd rather fight King Kong than have a grand mal seizure on a staircase. It beat me up pretty good. But we got very ill, couldn't keep down water. In about 8 to 10 days, I got better. She didn't. She continued to be very, very ill. She was very, very weak. I had to help her to the bathroom for a couple of weeks. 3rd week, she became incontinent, which lost control of her bodily functions. And he said, you need to call these people right away. And I called them. And the family said that Carol had died. Well, at that point I was numb. I didn't know what to do. They said you normally can't go up and sleep until 10 o'clock, but they told me I could go lay down, and it just immediately mentally exhausted me. It was a mental shutdown. I didn't know what to think. Next day was my birthday, and my 54th birthday. And I was kind of walking around in a daze, and the pastor of the mission, the head pastor, he found out about this from the staff, and he took me in his office, and he talked to me for a little bit about my situation, and he asked me if I wanted to take Jesus Christ into my heart, and I said yes. And he started praying for me, for Carol, for Jesus to come into my heart, and I started crying. and I couldn't stop. And I had a choice to make that day. It's either get sober or drink myself to death. And that, you know, and God did it exactly as I needed it, because He didn't do it to me, He did it for me. And it wasn't a punishment, it was an awakening. And now that I'm starting to open my eyes to God, I see all the times that He has saved my life and treated me or gave me opportunities that I just drank away. You know, He'd give me a great opportunity, and I would just, you know, disrespect it, basically. I was running, self-will run rampant. I was on a self-destruct mode. I didn't care about anybody, including myself, mainly myself. And when I grasped how to pray, I realized I didn't have anything to pray for. I had everything I needed. So I just started praying for the knowledge of His will for me and the power to carry that out. This is something I want to do for a lifetime, for the rest of my lifetime. My next step is I want to be baptized. I want you guys to baptize me. I'm just going to leave it in His hands. I'm going to hand it over to Him and try to do the next right thing and leave the results up to God.